Hello my friends, welcome to another episode of Diablo 3. My name is Wilfred. So some of you have requested me to share the build I have for this new necromancer set called the Masquerade of the Burning Carnival, and I mix it with the Captain Crimson as well, making it rather unique. It is very tanky and also versatile. Not the greatest DPS out there, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this work in progress kind of guy, I would say, but just for sharing. I mean, I'm sure you guys would think about some crazy synergy out there and so on and so forth, but I like what I'm having here because first of all, I'm not following like strictly to some people's build per se, because you know, there's a unique kind of like a way of playing that may or may not work for me, and I like to, you know, play a character just like back in the Marvel Heroes days, whereby I just make things together that work for me in a way that I enjoy as well. Then I share that with you, work in progress, and I'm sure I'll get it better as time goes by. Now, just a little bit of, you know, support on this character is that I've managed to get to GR 80 within 3 minutes and 40. Now, no gears being augmented, and also only 4 ancients out of 13 slots. So it is by far not gear, I would say, not gear for high rift anyway. And I think this one can push to 85 or 90 if I really want to, but there's no point because I like to play things within the 3 and 4 minute kind of like a time zone, and after that I'll just, you know, get my gear better and better, and after that I push for a higher rift. But yeah, so I think it has potential, I would say. I definitely have a lot of fun with it. And so in this video, I'm just going to share the build itself. There's no gameplay. I'll create other video as I play the game as well. I hope that get a better gear and, you know, getting higher kind of like higher level and higher rank, and that become more exciting for you. Now the whole Masquerade of the Carnival has you know, is not the strongest DPS. So let me just get it right out there first, right? Why would you like to play this this necromancer set? Is that it is perhaps the most tanky of all, right? Because necromancers builds are usually rather fragile, insane DPS but rather fragile. It is not exactly the fastest out there as well when it comes to mobility. You could build it as a fast one. I'm doing a little bit of both, so there's a bit of thinking behind how much you sacrifice the mobility versus the you know, the sustainability of the bone sphere. And also there's a little bit of like thinking, unlike many builds out there in Diablo whereby you just randomly click some area and, you know, and things will just happen. Like, you know, when you play wizard, you can just, you know, just randomly target some area and then, you know, you just let Hydra does the damage or whatnot. This one here require you to position yourself to get the best kind of like most number of like mobs being kind of attacked, and it requires a bit of aiming as well because it is expensive to cast Bone Sphere, and you want to have every casting count. So I like it. I like the fact that I have to aim, I have to think, and I have to trade off in my head between should I stun, should I run, should I like move faster, or should I just like, you know, hit more often, and, you know, how should I pace myself out and yet sustain the kind of like essence to it. It is not that lazy, I would say, but it's not as hectic as, say, a skeleton mage kind of build. Alright, so now without further ado, so this is what's out there. And another word of warning is that I always skip the Juggernaut kind of affixes at a higher rift because you know, a lot of my DPS depends on whether a target can be slowed and or stunned. So a Juggernaut kind of prefix affix will not allow me to stun nor move slow. So unless I'm really overpowering them, I would rather just skip them and do some another pack of elite somewhere. So, you know, so yeah, I mean, there are some drawback. You know, this is not the highest DPS build out there or set out there. The highest DPS is Legacy of Dreams, either Corpse Explosion or Grim Sing or even Skeleton Mage. I think these are the best build out there if you really want to go for a best. But however, sometimes you want something fun, and therefore you're staying on with me right now in this video. All right, so now let's take a look at the build first. I think that's important. Now there are options out there, and I like this build because, you know, I don't encourage you to fully copy what I have here, because, you know, there are many things that you could play around with, and you can just find out something that probably work for you. For Bone Sphere, I would recommend a crystallization as a cold kind of like build. So you have to make a decision what kind of damage you want to do, physical, poison, or kind of like cold, or what have you. So that's really important decision, because with that, then all your gearing kind of fall in line. So for me, I choose cold. I think it's cool. So that is a Bone Sphere I've got. I've got Land of the Dead as well, and the good thing about it is because I'm using the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, I can prot Land of the Dead pretty kind of often, in the sense that it gives me the kind of stun and slow kind of like a buff against the target, and why not, right? That control the kind of battlefield, and that's really good. So Bone Sphere, I use this one here. Blood Rush is options, right? So you can either do Blood Rush, and there are multiple options out there. I like the one that give me better armor, because when I need to rush, usually there's a bit of like a crisis going on. That's why I found that the extra armor can help as well. But there are other various kind of options that you could do as well. But I would just say that this is probably the one I use now. If at a higher rift, and I find that, at the test center, if I really push for higher rift, it's not really about the rushing part, because, in a sense, I have gears that help me run a little bit faster. But so what I recommend is that at a higher rift, instead of Blood Rush, you may want to consider the one of the Frailty Aura, because the good thing about this Frailty Aura is that it does frailty, but because of the simulacrum, the sets that reward the bonus, you earn all three of them. You by picking one of them on your hotbar as an aura, you get frailty, you got leech as well as your decrepify, and that's pretty cool stuff, because you kind of like reduce damage being received, and slow them down as well. You leech them, so get kind of like healing as well, and you got frailty, meaning that anything less than 15% just pop die, and it's a pretty massive kind of like DPS gain from that aspect. So I would say that at a higher rift, if Blood Rush is not something that you would like to you see yourself rushing, because you need to slowly progress through at a sustained rate, then this is a really good option as well. I play it through the test center. I like it as well, and I've got Lost Time as the offhand to give me the movement boost as well. So it's a little bit dangerous without kind of like Blood Rush, but it is an option out there. So that is one thing that you could think about what to do. Blown Armor, I use Dislocation. Dislocation is pretty cool because it does stun as well, and when the target is stunned and slow because of your being of a trap or what have you, then you get a triple damage against them. So that is really good stuff. So I use that. Devour is interesting because I think there are two options again, right? So you can either do the Ferocious, which is reduce the essence cost by 2%, each corpse consumed for 5 seconds. It is, I mean, if you just want to play casually, don't need to manage about the essence wise, then yeah, it is an option out there. Because Bone Sphere, if you use the cubed kind of two-hand weapons to further boost the power, you need 40 essence per cast before the reduction of the cost reduction. So especially if you don't use Captain Crimson, you definitely have to pick this one if you want to do Bone Sphere, because there's no way for you to sustain the kind of like a damage. Kind of like an essence to support that. But for me, because I use Captain Crimson, I kind of reduce the cost of the sphere. I reduce the cooldown of what have you. So I mean, I don't need this one. And I can use Cannibalize. Cannibalize is quite nice because I can see my health pop back up pretty fast. As I take down target and consume corpse, and it does like really pump up really fast back up. So to me, the kind of like tankiness is something I really look for when I play a necromancer, which I never had for any of the build out there. So I mean, this is something that I'll go for. But however, if you still find it difficult, even with Captain Crimson, which I think you shouldn't, but even so, you find it difficult, then yeah, I mean, Ferocious is an option that you could also go for as well. Simulacrum, no need to pick a rune, because in any case, with the Masquerade of the Burning Carnival, you get all the runes anyway, and there's quite a lot of runes out there. So you curse, apply all 3 curses. That's why back to Frailty, Aura of Frailty, you can apply all 3 leech as well as the Decrepify, Reservoir, kind of thing, and you got maximum essence being increased. Then you so on and so forth, and yeah, so it's quite a fair bit of good stuff from the simulacrum, from the set itself. Now, Land of the Dead, some people don't like it. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not going for the big, like really, really high riff whereby everybody just group, like, a meta group of 4, each other try to group like hundreds of mobs together and just spend like, I don't know how many seconds trying to take down all of them in one shot. I'm not the kind of player. I don't mind if everything just frozen on the screen, cannot be pulled into one place, because I usually play alone, or I play with my wife. She has a Demon Hunter. So I love Land of the Dead. It's pretty cool. I like the whole effect of it. And the cool thing about it is that with the Captain Crimson, with the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, there's a possibility for you to pop this rather often, and it's often enough for you to get a full essence plus support all your bone sphere to your heart content. You can just cast so long as you don't miss anything. That's one important thing. Passive skill wise, there are also multiple options. I can go a little bit with you. Final Surface, I seldom pop that, but when they pop it, it's there to save me, in a rift. So I think it's useful. I could take away Final Surface, and this is one of the non-mandatory one. It's kind of good. Overwhelming Essence is important because it does help you to pop your sphere 1 or 2 more kind of thing, in a bigger scheme of work. I think it's important. 40 out of this whole thing is quite a fair bit. Blood is Power is interesting. Now, I try with or without it. With the Blood of Power, then your all ability cooldown reduced by 20%, and it helped me to pop Land of the Dead more often. If I don't have it, there are scenarios whereby even with Zodiac, even with the Captain Crimson, and because sometimes I do like a Bone Armor or Blood Rush a little bit on here and there, I may run out of essence for a few seconds. Now it may or may not matter so much, but with this Blood is Power, then it enable me to really just don't need to worry about running out of essence, and I can have more. Put it this way, I have more opportunity to do other things like Bone Armor or Blood Rush, and I'll get to that cooldown manipulation in just a bit. All right, so I personally find it pretty good to have it. I also play without it, but it's just a little bit of management things here and there. And also the reality is that the more Land of the Dead you can pop, the more you get the triple kind of bonus. I'll show you the gear in a little bit, because you can slow and you can stun. That's the whole thing. Standalone is rather interesting. I do have 2 pets, so all in all, one of me, the Bone Simulacrum, the Blood Simulacrum, so all reduce 30%, reduce 20%, so I get increase of 80% armor, which is not that bad a deal. All right, so that is one that I use. Now there's another option called the Serration. So Serration is pretty cool because if you play a little bit further away from the target, even if it is 15 yard, then you get quite a fair bit of buff to your bone sphere, especially when your bone sphere kind of shoot like off-screen target, right? Like 1 or 2 screen away, target will die. The reason why I don't really pick this one, and I could as well, I could drop Final Surface and do this one, because very rarely I see Final Surface being popped anyway. Now the reason why I don't do this one, and also because if you play the Frailty, the Aura, you need to be pretty close to the target anyway. And if you want Bane of the Trap to plot, you also need to be within 15 yards or whatever. So there is a certain kind of requirement, and for bone armor to kind of be useful, you've got to be quite near to the target as well. So all in all, I don't really foresee myself to be fully utilizing this passive, if at all. I mean, there will be, of course, kind of percentage increase, but I will probably, I'm not sure whether I can really use it up to 20% of the bonus of that kind of bone sphere. But I'm fully aware that this is a pretty good kind of DPS boost to it, and I may, like I said before, I may drop Final Surface just to pick up Serration at a higher rate, because I need to push for that DPS kind of glass ceiling. But again, there are options. Like I said, it really depends on your play style, how lazy you want, or how not lazy, I mean how carefree you want to put it this way. I don't like the word lazy, my apologies. I mean just how carefree you like. Some people like, I like some build that are pretty simple and straightforward to play sometimes, right? Now, so that's the overall build. But how do you play this thing is that The main things about it is that, of course, you have this set here. This set here enable you to have all this like very nice bonus to your simulacrum, and then your damage reduction as well as bone sphere buff kind of thing. So that is one that I recommend. Captain Crimson is kind of good because you reduce the cooldown by 20% at least, and after that 20% all resource cost cooldown, and also your damage dealt and damage taken is reduced by the percentage of either or of them. So that makes it really versatile, because even if you roll your gear to be like a reduction gear, because I do a lot of reduction on my gear, then I'm still having the kind of like either DPS to it and or like damage reduction as well if I'm using the cost reduction. So it is pretty versatile, and it's give me a lot of flexibility in building the character that I want. Amulet wise, as always, it's got to be haunted visions for the necromancer, because this build you need to have without this, like this whole build doesn't work at all. The 2 card ring, and I let me just pull out the cube as well. The 3 card ring that I want, the crit spin sentence is important, because you deal damage against the target that are slow. How to slow a target? Being of the trap is one. Lost time is another one. I lose lost time because whenever your cold skill kind of like it reduces the movement speed of the enemy by 30%, so it does give you kind of like kind of slow as well. But anyway, you got Bane of the Trap, which help you to within the 15 yard, of course. However, large is 15 yard is quite alright, I guess. Then within the 15 yard, you got to reduce. So that is yet another one that you could. So that is the 100%. And if you triple this bonus against enemy affected by any type of control impairing effect, that could either be like fear or knockback or even stun. So that's why the stun is important. Where does stun come from? It come from Land of the Dead, come from the dislocation of the bone armor. So that is the bits that I'm using right now. They give you quite a reliable kind of triple 300% kind of like against. So like I said before, won't work against the Juggernaut affixes, so I don't even bother to do any Juggernaut affixes mobs because it's just taking too long. So that is one I use. Another ring I've used is the Ring of Royal Grandeur, because I'm mixing 2 sets together, I have got to use this guy. And then the third one is that the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, because the cooldown is reduced by 1 second every time I'm using resource spanning attack, and the only thing I do here, and I don't have any primary kind of like a skill, is to do like a resource spanning kind of attack. So now to make this Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac work, you have to pay attention to 2 things, and that's really important. The first one is that you have to go for attack speed, because you have to shoot really fast, and the faster the attack speed, the better you can recuperate, because that is how you reduce the cooldown of the powers that you have. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind, be it as you use a legendary gem like myself, God of Swiftness, that gain a certain kind of like attack speed, 15% up to that 50%, also reduce cooldown as well per stack of Swiftness. Either that and or some of the gear that you need to pick attack speed or whatnot, what have you. But attack speed is really important. That helps you in getting the 1 second reduction kind of thing. The second thing is that there are only 3 powers within this whole set I have that require cooldown. And if I don't use Blood Rush and I use the Aura of the Frailty, I only have 2. So if you don't do armor, I mean, if you don't do all 3 at the same time, means that you don't pop the Blood Rush every time the Blood Rush kind of like come off cooldown, because you have cooldown reduction, you actually land quite a lot of like cooldown reduction onto Land of Dead, which is important. That left the other one, which is bone armor. When do you do bone armor? Well, you do bone armor when you want to keep the stats on, because there's only a period of time where the bone armor will like have a certain there's a green bar on top and it start to reduce. Because the thing is that because I use Sing of the Cycle, what happened is that every time my secondary skill, which is the Bone Sphere, deal additional damage while the Bone Armor is active, I reduce the duration of Bone Armor by 4 seconds. So by default, this is a 60-second kind of like Bone Armor, but every time I shoot the bone Sphere, my Bone Armor will reduce by 4 seconds. And that is the one that you would like to keep at least 5 stats, because 5 or 10, I can't remember. I think it's 10 stat, yeah. So that is the, because they give you an extra 30% damage reduction as well. And And that is a decision to make as well, because would you like to, when do you want to do it? You want to pop Bone Armor at cooldown to stun enemy to the 300% against them, or you want to pop it only before it falls off because you want to keep the buff on. That is a decision that you have to make, because you need to trade off in real time within your mind between three things here. Your Bone Armor, Land of the Dead, as well as Blood Rush. The more you rush, the less you can pop your Land of the Dead, and also, you know, kind of like the less you can pop the Bone Armor. And so it is a trade-off in real time, depending on situation. And that is really, really cool about this. And of course, you know, with Blood is Power, then another thing that play in the situation is that when you lose enough health, then your cooldown reduction is another 20% against the ability as well, which could be the Land of the Dead or Bone Armor, what have you. So with all in this into consideration, yeah, it's really a lot of thinking behind it, and that's really why I like it a lot for this one. Okay, so I've talked about the thing of the cycle, because that make your bone sphere awesome. But together with this one, the bone sphere, because the bone sphere now costs 40 essence and deals 700 increased damage. I don't think you can live without this one. It's a two-hand item. You cannot equip that. The you know, some say, well, you know, why can't we use this things here? But blood sphere remove the cost of the kind of like you know, of the essence, only 10% health. But then the thing is that, you could do that, but the trade-off again is that, you know, you still have to you know, pay the 40% kind of like you know, essence cost for the essence cost to it anyway, together with health cost. So if you are gutsy enough, I mean, you can do the physical kind of like build, which is basically do the you know, the blood cost as well, and that make it really more exciting. I don't think I want to do that to the extreme, but if you want the extra DPS, you may try that as well. All right. So yeah, so that is the one that I use together with the Thing of the Cycle. I think this kind of like, you know, all gel together. Offhand, there are a couple of options. Well, there's not really a lot of options really. It really depends on what kind of like, you know, fixes that kind of suits you. I would go for the lost time, mainly because with the lost time I deal cold damage, right? You know that when I do the bone sphere. So with that, I can have the 10% movement speed increase for 5 seconds up to maximum 5 steps. It's quite you can actually feel the difference when your character does the cold damage, kind of like you know, you actually walk slightly faster as well. So that kind of make up the fact that you may or may not have blood rush kind of thing. So lost time, I kind of like it. Then you have the Nemesis as well. Nemesis is really cool because for necromancer, like it or not, there aren't really a lot of other options there. You could use the Reaper's Wrap if you have essence issue, but with that you need to use another kind of like passive, which is more like a life from death, because every time you consume a corpse, you get a health glob, and with the health glob, you convert that into the you know, essence using the Reaper's Wrap. The only thing is that it's been nerfed down in season 21, so there's a cooldown, internal cooldown of 2 seconds, so it kind of sucks because you kind of don't really get that much essence out from it, you know, in a sense. So that's why I didn't use it. But yeah, I mean, overall, that is the build that is still work in progress. Like I say, I mean, this is all that I have. Like I mentioned to you, the legendary gem, why I would recommend Bane of the Trap, God of Swiftness. And as for the third one, if you are playing lower rift, then Bane of Powerful is good, but if you found that it's hard to destroy the rest of the minions, because sometimes it does, then I think Bane of the I'm sure Bane of the Stricken is the much better options. I think once you reach beyond like 90 or 100, and you probably, for this particular build, right, you need to switch over. For some other build like you know, if I play the Skeleton Mage, usually in the past with the Rathma, the breaking point is around 110, then or 105 kind of thing. You can switch over to Bane of the Stricken, because the powerful is still pretty powerful, you know, for the character. But for this particular set, because it's not really a high DPS set, then you probably need to switch over around 90 to 100. That's where you find that the Stricken will benefit you a bit better. Especially when you can't pick out the rest of the minion, you know, that is the point of it. And with that said, I mean, these are all the stuff that I've got so far. I mean, just yellow gem and the white gem on top, and some of the stats on my cooldown reduction, as well as the as well as the essence cost reduction as well, 33%. So this is a extra damage reduction, by the way, and extra DPS is from the cooldown reduction, which is 55% of it. So yeah, so far it's really fun, and like I said, I mean, it's a work in progress. I'll continue to kind of like experiment with the different kind of like options, and continue to report back in and share a little bit of the gameplay video for you guys. So thanks very much for watching, and I think just to recap, this is not the highest DPS kind of build out there. There are a lot of other people, like you can check the leaderboard, you can check IC Vein, but that requires you a very specific way of playing, which I may or may not like at all. So I like something that's more versatile. I like something that's very, very tanky, hardcore ready, by the way, this one is. And I like something that give me kind of like options and maneuver thinking behind, like what kind of like timing, which one should I pop, just blindly pop everything, like some of the build out there, which is nothing wrong with that, but it's a bit of thinking of the situation. Do I do bone arm? Do I do bone armor right now? Do I do blood rush, or do I just wait until my Land of the Dead is recuperating back to the cooldown wise? So yeah, it's kind of fun. All right, so thanks for watching, and leave me a question below, comments as well. I'm happy to take down any comments that you may have. As you can see, I'm really passionate about this necromancer new set, though it is not the best out there. By the way, one last thing is that you see this yellow box here being circled. A lot of time, people commented that they cannot tell whether the simulacrum is dead or not dead. Well, it's actually rather straightforward. If you see a yellow box here, your simulacrums are alive, you take it away, then the yellow box is not there. So it is very straightforward. So that is really how you tell whether your simulacrum is still alive. They are still alive during the midst of all the battle and madness of it. I'll do more video for you guys. See you next time. Bye bye.